If you're looking for your first truck, you're gonna wanna pay attention to this list. The last one, probably gonna surprise you. Regardless if you're 16 or 16 at heart, buying your first pickup is a rite of passage. There's nothing quite like the first time you wake up, you look outside your door, and sitting in the driveway is your four-wheel drive. It's a feeling unlike any other, and if you haven't already experienced it, then I suggest you do it and do it stat. I'm Dustin, or as you guys know me, Dusty LBZ, and today we're talking about all the best trucks that you can buy for your very first pickup. Now, a few notes before we get started here because I don't want to get dragged through the mud down in the comments section. All of these trucks are going to be gas. We assume here that you're looking for a daily driver and that you're not trying to float two cars down the road on a 36-foot gooseneck. Not that you can't, you just probably shouldn't do that with a half-ton. Additionally, here we're gonna assume that you've got a little bit of a budget, right? All the trucks we're gonna talk about today are gonna be priced well. However, they're going to be hard to find under 1,500 bucks, for example. I think those days are probably just gone. Thanks, Cash for Clunkers. And of course, before we get into it, I have to be a YouTuber and tell you that if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. We're cooking up some wicked stuff here as we roll into the winter months, and I wanna make sure that you guys can follow along for the ride. All right. Let's talk trucks. Now, first up on our list of best first trucks that you can buy is gonna be the 99 to 02 GMC and Chevy 1500s. The round eye body style, as some call them, these trucks are gonna be some of the best bang for your bucks that you can buy on the market right now. Introduced in the 1999 model year, these new body style trucks would replace the extremely successful 88 to 98 K-Series in the General Motors lineup and would usher in some big changes for GM trucks. Most notably though would be the all-new 5.3 liter LM7 Vortec, which made 280 horsepower. It's not a lot. It's definitely not a lot by today's standards at all, but these trucks were stout. My buddy had one in high school. It had 255,000 miles on it, and it still ran like a champ. We actually ran it out of oil at one point, filled it back up, started back up, and he drove it for like another 3 or 4 years. I mean, sure, it leaked some oil and the trans slipped a bit, but hey, what 4L60 doesn't slip here or there, am I right? On a serious note though, if you're looking for one of these, your biggest challenge, if you're up north, is gonna be finding one that's not rusted to hell. The salt and brine and everything else just eats these trucks away. It loves to eat the rocker panels and the fenders and the bedsides and all of that stuff. But still, they're really great trucks. Parts are plentiful for them, and literally every company in the history of lift kits is gonna make a kit for these trucks. You can find them everywhere. It's a great truck. Consider picking one up. Next up on the list of great first truck buys is gonna be the 02 to 08 Ram 1500s, otherwise known as the third gen. Now, these trucks exist in a weird spot in the market where they're not really old enough to be a collector truck yet, but they're too old for the general public to want, and that's what makes them a really good deal. When it comes to the third gen, it's important to note that they did have a facelift in 2006. Like we said, while most of the changes are cosmetic, the biggest is gonna be the updated headlight design that we talked about, the relocation of the Dodge emblem to the center of the grille, and a slight interior update that makes the truck feel newer than 1997. Under the hood, you can find either the 5.9 Magnum or starting in 2003, you could get these trucks with a Hemi, which is pretty freaking cool. Fun fact for you, this is also the same generation that Dodge introduced the SRT-10 trucks with the V10 out of the Viper, and I don't know if that's a great option for a first pickup because it would likely kill your wallet just by all the fuel it drank, but it's pretty badass. Regardless though, these trucks are a super solid buy for the money and are a really good option if you're more of a Dodge guy than a GM guy. Much like the 99 to 02 Silverados, you're gonna have plenty of options for aftermarket parts here from pretty much all the big manufacturers, but again, rust is gonna be a killer on these. Another heavy hitter here in the middle of our list, this time from the good old Ford Motor Company, is the 12th gen F-150. Produced between 2009 and 2014, the 12th gen F-150 was the first generation that you could get the platinum trim level, which is pretty freaking neat. Although at the time it was really just a rebadged Lincoln Mark LT, which is kind of a weird truck, and maybe we'll talk about that one later. Later model years would also include the first 5-liter V8, which really set the stage for some of the most successes that Ford has seen in engines even today. The 12th gen F-150 just hit different, and in my opinion, they're in the same ballpark as why the 3rd gen Rams are what they are. It's because they're too old to be new, but too new to be old, and that makes them a great buy because they're in the weird spot where no one wants them, but everyone wants them all at the same time. It's weird. Additionally, because the F-150 has been the top-selling truck for a long time now, parts are everywhere for this thing, and you can find all sorts of lift kits and wheels and tires and headlights and taillights and everything that you would need to take it from stock to not, and it would be killer. Alrighty folks, the last truck on the list here is probably my personal favorite for good reason. Now, I'm sure you guys already saw this coming, but if I was gonna buy my first truck all over again today, you already know it, I'm buying a Cat Eye Silverado. The 03 to 07 classic GM 1500 trucks just hit different. They're a great buy. The 5.3 has plenty of power. It'll do what you need it to do, and the updated styling both on the interior and exterior makes them look like a killer truck. Parts are cheap. There's dozens of them in the junkyards if you need to find hard to find parts. There's companies out there producing new parts for them, and overall they just run forever. You can thrash them, you can beat them, you can run them through the mud. It doesn't matter. The trucks will take it. And if I was looking for it, or if I knew someone who was looking for the first truck, it's definitely a recommendation that I would have. Did I nail this list, or do you have another truck that should have made a recommendation? Drop a comment down below, let me know. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. With that, my name's Dustin. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.